saw that Lincoln truck.
Ready?
That's my son.
Good evening, friends. The time is 5:31, and we're all gathered here together today for the final budget hearing for the 2015-2016 fiscal year. The date is September 15th, 2015, and at this time, we'd like to ask Randy Harris to lead us in the invocation of the pledge. Please rise.
Bow your head, please. Father, we praise you and thank you for the opportunity to come together and handle the business of the citizens of this community. We ask for wisdom and guidance and counsel from above. We praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Item 1 on our final agenda for the budget hearing. We're going to turn our attention over to Barry Baker, the Honorable Clerk of Courts, and he's going to open the Suwannee County final budget hearing for 2015-2016 fiscal year. Mr. Baker.
Yes, all right, Mr. Chairman. I'm here to announce that the proposed millage rate is 9.0000 mills. And you have before you a proposed final budget of $67,842,162. Your rollback rate is 8.9183 mills, and your proposed millage rate is a 0.92% increase over the rollback rate.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing, and we're going to start with constitutional officers. Are there any constitutional officers present today that would like to address the board? Seeing none, we'll move to item 2. It would be for outside agencies. If there's any outside agencies that would like to address the board at this time, please come forward to the podium and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Chair recognizes Austin Richmond from the Suwannee County Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Chairman. Austin Richmond, Executive Director, 1042 Pineview Circle. I'm here up today to talk to the board to reconsider the request for $10,000 for the Chamber of Commerce. More or less want to give you an idea of what those funds are for and how we do operate, as well as being the Welcome Center and the point of contact for incoming people to our community. We've been deficient in the promotional arena with promotional material to give to people as they come through the doors. What I'm asking for is some money, some help, more or less, so we can have some material to give to these people who are coming in asking for maps, as well as different features of our county to promote. We also went through a period in our history where we used to be a county-funded entity. We aren't a county-funded entity. We are funded through membership as well as special events. So in order to help keep the lights on and balance the budget, I'm requesting from the Board of County Commissioners to reconsider the $10,000 that is more or less, it's a small amount, but in the bigger scope of it all, it's a really big amount that we need to operate. We are a private organization, but yet whenever it's said and done, as most chambers that you're aware of, when they call and ask for county information, as well as working with Alvin Jackson when it comes to any economic development side of it, that goes hand in hand. Whenever we have an ad hoc different committee meeting, when we're trying to brand the area, we do work together on that. So I kind of wanted to ask the board, too, if you guys had any questions or concerns about this request, so I can answer that.
Are there any questions of the board to Mr. Richmond?
No, Mr. Chairman.
No. The only question I have, Austin, is how often do you work with Dr. Jackson on anything that may involve county business? How often does that occur?
Economic development summits. If there's a potential, that's coming into town, I mean, I'm open for that. We do try to come up with a business plan, and that would be time an effort and, funding for vehicle travel, to go to these separate types of meetings too. The chamber compensates me for that. So we do meet, we speak at least once a week.
Do you receive communication from people outside the county that are seeking county direction or anything like that, and have to forward that information in?
On our website, we do have access for people who are looking and that don't call, that they can access, city, local government, and also with welcome packets that are forwarded to potentials that are coming into our community, range from 3 to 4 a week, and depending on the request of the customer, it depends on how the pricing of how much is sent out. So anybody that deals with chambers out and throughout our union, they understand that that's sometimes the point of contact, the initial point of contact. So we're all salespeople, trying to sell what we have to offer in our community. So that goes hand in hand with their economic development side of it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Richmond. That's all I have.
Yes,
Does
sir.
anybody else have anything?
So you take phone calls from people calling in to your office, and you probably filter them to Alvin or keep the ones you need to keep, but then you move stuff basically down the road to Alvin when you get phone calls from outsiders?
Yes, sir. It could range from demographics, simple, request of, who's in your area, what's the job market like, who's the tax base. Anything that would escalate to a potential site consultant is definitely, passed to Alvin. But also, I'm available for any questions that they may have. A lot of these people get a lot of the information behind the scenes, but, we're always, our doors open to guide it as the hub.
I got one question. I know in the past, we've given, I think, an amount of $10,000 for printables, brochures, and then we paid for a salary. Through certain things, in the way the money was handled, I know the maps and stuff weren't updated, and I believe, I don't know for a fact, but some of that $10,000 was getting used for a salary. This request is not going to be in any way associated with anyone's salary. It is
No,
strictly
this-
for
Strictly promotional.
materials, promotional.
Yes, sir.
Comment, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Wainwright?
Just for discussion, I would throw out that if there's any consideration in granting the request, I guess the only way that I'd be willing to consider is if we pulled that money out of the economic development budget. Part of that is, by virtue of the fact that we were able to get some monies from the city to help offset Mr. Jackson's salary. That'd be the only place I'd be willing to pull any money out of to grant this request. Otherwise, I don't wish to go into the actual meat and potatoes of the budget.
No, I don't either. I could live with that. We set a millage rate portion to go into economic development. I don't know that we've hit that yet, but once we do, it would be fine for it to come out of there. I believe it's an appropriate place to take it from.
Yeah, I don't have any heartburn over that either. I mean, it's all kind of promoting the county, and if the board sees fit, we could. Alvin's not here to defend himself, I don't think. But
Now's the time to do it.
now that we could certainly do that if we so desired. All I need is a motion to do that, I guess.
So moved.
Mr. Chairman,
Hold on a second. We got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Gamble, seconded by Commissioner Wainwright. Is there any further discussion? We'll turn our attention to Commissioner Fleming.
I want to ask Mr. Richmond, what do the city do to help offset that?
Yes, sir. The city provides us a location. We're tenants inside the old city hall at a very reasonable rate. So we have a facility there that they provide for us.
But they're not putting any finances, just a facility.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Is there any further questions or any discussion?
One question.
Commissioner Gamble?
Does this include a membership for the board?
Yes, it does. I got you signed up.
Good thinking.
There's a motion and a second as the record reflects. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any outside agencies present that would like to address the board? Seeing none, we'll move on to county departments. Are there any county department heads that would like to address the board? Seeing none, we'll move on to public comment. Chair recognizes Mrs. Carol Lee Howell.
Carol Lee Howell, 7408169 Drive. I'm here today because I misspoke a couple of meetings ago when I indicated that I was for salaries for department heads. Yes, our department heads do an awesome job and they do a great job. But after doing some research and realizing, knowing now what I know, but what I didn't know then, and just seeing what their counterparts make in other counties, and in Columbia County, I mean, our department heads, they're well compensated, and I'm just concerned where's the money going to come from? And, you know, I mean, from the taxpayers. I mean, I don't know how much more the taxpayers of this county can give, and so I just would like. It's not. They all work hard. They do a phenomenal job, and I appreciate each one of them having the opportunity to get to know them. I'm not speaking against them in any way, shape, or form, but I'm looking out for the wealth of this county and how much can we sustain it. You know, this year we may be able to sustain it, but next year and the year after, can we sustain it? I don't think so. I mean, we already have 2 loans out, and you know, how much more can our county handle?
Thank you, Mrs. Howell.
Thank you.
Is there any other member of the public that would like to address the board at this time? Seeing none, I'd like to close public hearing. Now we'll open up the floor to the board. This time we'd like to advise the clerk of any changes that any member of the board, or any member would like to discuss amongst the board, and then we would vote on to see if we wanted to do that. Does anybody want to start off?
Now that Mr. Jackson's here, maybe we need to inform him what we've done with his
Yeah.
department.
You came late, Mr. Jackson. There's a little bit of a reduction in your budget, unfortunately or fortunately. I don't know how you look at it, but it's $10,000 of the chamber. Are you satisfied with that? All right. He's okay with it. Anybody? Got anything?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have anything.
Thank you. Anything from this end?
I've got some, but if anybody else wants to go, I'll let them go.
Just jump in. We'll go. We'll
All
take it
right.
as they go.
At the last meeting, we got in on the raises. I wanted us to maybe revisit giving the employees 50 cents instead of 25. I broke some of the numbers down. A 25-cent raise across the board is costing us $162,000. With the way we funded it this go around, we didn't take anything out of the library contingency or road department contingency, just solid waste collection, disposal, and fire. If you was to fund it at 50 cent and everybody, library, solid waste disposal, collection, and road department paid their portion of it, you could fund a 50-cent raise at about $20,000, $30,000 more than what we have coming out of our contingency right now for a 25-cent raise. They're still going to double it in cost, but what we're looking at paying out in our contingency, if you let the existing contingencies of each department absorb that raise. I believe we're paying right now at the quarter, what's coming out of general fund is $139,809. And if we did it at 50 cent and had the other ones do it, it would be, I believe it was $153,000 that we'd wind up spending. Now, of course, you'd have additional costs, but they would be absorbed within their existing contingencies.
Well, I guess
I'm sorry, I said 153, it's 158,800.
Well, I guess it just, with these ongoing costs, I guess if you're funding them out of this year out of contingency, I guess next year they would just be figured in with the budget. So I don't know if we ought to pull it out of contingency or we ought to just fund it. Because it's going to be ongoing anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, I spoke with some of the department heads out of our smaller departments that thought they would be able to absorb the raise in their current budget anyway.
But they want to pull it out of their contingency now, this year?
That was just my suggestion. It brought your number about to the same thing what you have coming out of general now. I was trying to do it without it affecting what we had in our contingency going forward through this year.
I understand. Is there any comments on that, gentlemen? Hearing none, we'll move on to your next thing. Or you want to throw a motion out there?
I'll make a motion that we increase the employees' raise from 25 cent to 50 cent.
Motion on the floor made by Commissioner Gamble. Do I hear a second? Hearing none, that motion dies for lack of a second.
The next thing I'd like to bring up is on funding the employees' raises at 25 cent and then the department head raises. And speaking with finance, we're funding the department heads get their increase first and then get their longevity raise second. The employees are getting their longevity raise first and then their increase second. I would ask that we direct finance to fund them both the same way, have them all get their raises either prior to their longevity or after their longevity.
In the same way.
Okay? Any discussion on that prior to?
I don't have a problem doing the raises first and then the longevity second.
All right, you want to make a motion to that effect?
Will.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever would have got a longevity, give it to them first and then give a raise.
Mm-hmm.
Just for the board.
Well, we
No, he's talking
No.
about changing it to do all of it.
Everybody the same.
everybody the same way, because the way I understood it when talking with Mr. Ken was that we were funding the department head raises first and then going to give them their longevity. So it would be on their new salary. And
Because at the workshop, y'all voted to do 30,000, that was the first vote.
well, I just wanted to reverse it or put everybody on the same, either give everybody their raise first and then the longevity, or either do the longevity and then the raise.
Motion made by Commissioner Wainwright, seconded by Commissioner Gamble. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, next.
I'm good now.
You good? That's all you have? All right. Anybody else?
No, Mr. Chair, never mind, go ahead.
All right. The only thing I have, I've been doing some significant amount of research on the funding that the board gives to the clerk's office, and I've learned a lot. And I will tell you, and some of you guys may know this, but you may or may not know it, how the state decides how to fund the clerks. It's basically socialism. They take from the counties that take in more than they can spend, and then they reallocate it to the indigent boards, our indigent counties, and they put it into a pot, and then they redistribute it. And they have different tiers based on population that they use, but basically, the CCOC looks at how much money they have, they look at what the clerks submit, they see if it's in line with other counties of the same population, and they say, okay, that's fine. And so that's the way they do it. There's no particular formula they use or anything to make that determination of how much money that is, if that's my understanding anyway. So in light of that, I think that this year we're looking at probably about $1 million coming from the state, and they will submit receipts monthly to request those funds from the CTF. It's the CCTF, I think, is the correct term for that. The CCOC, and then you have the CCTF, which is the trust fund. Okay, and so we have those monies coming in to fund the clerk, and then we transfer in $850-some thousand. There's $200,000 that comes from fine and forfeiture, and then there's $125,000 in receipts collected from tickets and traffic. Just fees, I guess is the case. So if you add all that up, it's a significant amount of money. So my thought is that, doing some research and looking into, I haven't had the time to get into their budget the way I probably should, and I don't know that we need to approve it preliminarily at this time until I have some more time to look at it. If the board has some interest in holding the transfer in abeyance until I can look at it further, I'd be open to that. Otherwise, if you don't, then we can just move forward as is. But I think that it's a significant amount of money is what I'm trying to say. And I don't want to start any fights or anything like that. I just feel a little bit more comfortable with it after having done all the preliminary work, just trying to get a handle on what's going on with the funds being transferred in. So I just throw that out there for discussion at this time.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Wainwright.
I know that in the conversation I had with the clerk, based on the numbers that were shared at our last meeting, there appears to be some inefficiencies there for the level of funding that we're providing and what is recaptured by the state. Nevertheless, I don't have the numbers. I'm not prepared to go into that discussion. I don't have a problem with going ahead and leaving things as they are, and as I expressed to the clerk, as we get more information, I'd like to address that.
Okay.
When we can get that information to all the commissioners and have a better understanding of what's going on there.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying right now, I haven't had an opportunity to get into that
I haven't
aspect
either,
of it.
Mr. Chairman. In my conversation with the clerk, we spoke briefly about it, and I told him that I wasn't prepared to make any issue out of any of that at this time. But I would like to state, as I told him, I'm not necessarily done with it. I do want to go back to it and visit it, but I don't have the information I need to pursue that any further right now.
I understand. Well, go ahead.
Your concern is basically the funding of the raise? Or?
No, I don't have any problem with the raise. I'm just saying the overall funding of it. I'm saying that, you transfer in for 37 employees, well over $2 million. It's a significant amount of money. So anyways.
Well, I don't want to get into that in this budget. If y'all want to have a conversation later, that's on y'all. As far as everything is now, I want to stay as is.
Well, it's a final, it's a final hearing. We haven't adopted the budget, so.
I know, but I'm through the next year, as far as the next budget, if you want to discuss it then, but as far as this year's, I'd just assume let's move on through it.
Okay. Everybody else with the same opinion?
Same feeling.
Same minute.
All right. Any other changes that you would like, the board would like to consider at this time to the budget to give the clerk? Seeing none, we'll move on to adopting the final millage rate by resolution. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I'd make a motion, we adopt the 9.00 millage rate.
Motion made by Commissioner Sessions. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Gamble. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Item number 2, adopt the final budget by resolution. Do I hear a motion?
Motion approved.
Motion made by Commissioner Sessions. Do I hear a second?
Lemon.
Seconded by Commissioner Gamble.
Can you clarify that by saying, announce the number, please?
Please announce the number.
Announce the number when you say it. Go
The
ahead.
number that he had, number that was, I offer motion that we adopt the millage rate of 9 million.
The budget number is what we need.
67 million.
Okay, $67,842,162.
That's correct. You amend your second to reflect that?
I do.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. This time, I'd like to close the final budget hearing. All right, folks, we have about
3 minutes left.
3 minutes. We'll break until 6 p.m. when we'll open up the regularly scheduled board meeting of the Suwannee County Commissioners.
If I had a bet going that we'd have to do this.